really sure which direction it's going to go, but I think we're very good friends, and we can probably kick it off with something. So how's your day been?
I've been pretty good. Well, they have us working from home now, and I feel like I work so much more now that I'm at home. And this is not how this was supposed to go.
Why is that? You find yourself more motivated?
No, you know what it is? It's like I live alone. So the fact that I have no one to talk to, or I don't waste, I guess, time doing that. It just, I concentrate all the time because I just have no distractions.
That's actually good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that to be the same case for me. Like the first week I started working from home fully, which was last week, my productivity was so high. It was either because like I just had more work to do, or
Hmm.
the fact that like the situation and us having to work from home, I wanted to help like, like my team and the company and everyone um like be productive and stay afloat and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I can say the same.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I also find myself taking on like harder tasks because I feel like I have the kind of like the flexibility to, take longer if I need to because I'm doing my stuff a lot faster. So, yeah, I think it's definitely like a really great experience. I didn't think I was going to like it. The first day it was a little weird, but now it's okay. Like I feel totally comfortable with it and I actually like it a lot more. Yeah.
Are you balancing it with personal time too? Like every hour you look away from your monitor or like take a break, step away from your computer.
Yeah, I try to. I mean, it's simple things, but I live in an apartment complex. So on my breaks, I'll try to like go out, throw out the trash or I'll, vacuum. And, being that we have to kind of stay at the house right now, there's, not much you can do in a one bedroom. But yeah, I try to play with the cats or, to try to distract myself a little bit. But sometimes if I go over like my scheduled time, I'm like, oh, it's fine. I have nothing else to do anyway. I have no kids. I have no husband.
How's your cat taking to you being at home all the time?
It was really funny because the other day I was on a call and my cats, I mean, they're usually really quiet and I have no idea what happened, but out of nowhere I hear them just slam against like my mirror, my closet, my mirror, my closet, and it has mirrors, so it made a huge noise. And I'm like, oh my god, it sounds like I have kids, but it was just the cats like playing around and running around. And yeah, sometimes I find them like jumping on my keyboard and I'm trying to work and I'm like, okay, that can get a little bit annoying, but overall I think it's okay.
True. I don't have a cat, but I remember when I was down in Vegas, you had like a calendar of different cats for each day, and there was like a quote from it, and you gave one to me like a slip from that calendar, and it was like I still think about it to this day because it actually is very fitting. It does suit me. I don't know how you picked it so accurately, but it said something like I never spare an extra word or something. Like even though I do talk a lot, but I don't like I try not to spare an extra word like, and it was so spot on.
Yeah.
And we hadn't even known each other for that long at that point, but it seems
Yeah.
like you had a sense of who I was, who I am.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really weird. I usually like I get very like my first impressions are just crazy on point. Like if I don't have like a weird vibe from you, then I just won't even approach it, I'll, you know, back up. But I don't know, when I met you, I was like, you know what? He's weird. He's like me. He doesn't care. He does whatever he wants to do, and I'm like, that's me too. Like, So I don't know. It was like you're like my friend soulmate. I always tell everyone that, and they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I don't know. Patrick
Oh,
and I were just like super cool. You don't get
that's
it."
awesome, man. It was so heartwarming that message that you sent me. Um, saying that you inspire you. You actually do the same for me because I see you on social media and like you don't give a fuck either. Like you'll talk about anything.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, what is this what is this girl doing? Because she has like all these managers and coworkers on social, but then I mean, like, just like the fact that you're just exposing true colors to your coworkers means that you can be comfortable in your own skin when you actually go in the office, right? And they actually
Yeah.
know, they know who you are. That you're not doing anything unexpected. Obviously, you're going to be a bit more professional when you're in the office, but the fact that they know your character, you can get away with a bit more. And it's just like it's such a good relationship, right? When they know where you're coming from.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And in the beginning, like it was always like, should I not? But at some point, I'm like, you know what? Like, it doesn't. My social media or my extracurricular activities, like, they don't interfere with my work ethic and
Yeah.
or what I can do at work. So and I said to myself, I'm like, well, this is me. Like, either you like it or you don't. And if you don't, then that's fine. Like, I lived a really long time, probably without you in my life. So will continue to be okay with that.
Yeah, that's totally true because it is like it is there is a separation, right? Like when you go into work, even though they know like your life is wild, like there's an expectation for you to be, conform to the rules. And you do that,
Totally.
right? So like that's why probably people aren't even worried about what you do outside of work because when you go back to work, you're being professional and you're doing your job properly. And like I've never heard anything bad about how you do your job. And like personally, I've already sat down with you and like ran through work stuff, and it's really pleasant to be in your company at work. So I think you're doing
Oh,
something right.
thanks, Patrick.
So how about your like mental health these days? Like how many days have you been cooped up in the apartment alone now?
So I went out for, I think, my Keurig cups because I got a new Keurig, and I did it, and it was funny because I posted about this on my social media, and I was like, I didn't like think about how much coffee I really drink,
Oh yeah.
until until I went to
Oh
Bonds,
yeah.
or Safeway or whatever it's called, and the box was like $8, and it was like 10 little Keurigs, and I'm like, oh, you mean I drink 3 of these a day? This will last me like 3. So like, I'm spending a crazy amount of money on coffee, and yeah, because of that, now I'm like, okay, I need to stop. 1 cup, if that, should be enough. Like,
Yeah, when it's provided to you for free, you really have no limits, right?
yeah,
But then when you start going cup after cup at home and you start seeing the results of your drinking habits, it's
yeah,
I can see how it is a bit startling. But
yeah.
it
I
was
think my
funny
friends are like, Mom, chill.
because I saw your post. You're like, if like your habits went on the way they were or something, the company would run out of money.
Yeah, because they have like these really awesome like Starbucks little pouches, and I think those are a little bit more expensive than the Keurig ones. I think the ones that they have are like Nespresso little pouches, and I
Yeah,
think they're more expensive. And I'm like, oof, easily for a day, easy. I'm like,
yeah.
man, poor Geotab. Imagine like all the employees had the same like 4 packs a day.
Intake is
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, oh, that would be bad. Starbucks would be even more rich.
Um, yeah, I'm a coffee drinker, but I don't drink that much. Like I'll have like 1 cup, maybe two, and it's always before noon because
Mm,
after 12 o'clock hits, like if I drink coffee, I'm gonna have a hard time falling asleep at night. I guess it's pretty natural, but some people are uh, less prone to caffeine hitting them.
yeah, you build up like a crazy tolerance for it.
Mm.
But now that I've been home, and I don't know, I think these Keurig cups are, I don't know, they're really strong. And
Something
like last
special
night,
about them.
yeah, I don't know, it must have like something else in them, because at night I always am able to fall asleep, but it's like 11 p.m. and I'm like, maybe I should do some laundry or fixing the counter.
Yeah, you just get that burst of energy at night. That's a little
Yeah,
unusual.
yeah, it's weird. But how are you? How's everything?
I'm good. I'm good. Actually, my original plan was not to go to my parents' house for quarantine. But my mom was like, "Hey, we're gonna take care of you. We're gonna cook for you, and it's better you spend time with your family because you're all alone in Oakville in that small place." So I'm actually glad that I came here. The food has been so good, and the fact that I'm not alone and I get to talk to my mom and dad when I'm not working or doing my own thing in my room. It's good to have them as company for sure.
Right. Yeah, yeah. I remember you were mentioning that you kind of you had like your own space, and all you can hear was the kids outside playing around. So I'm sure having the company is probably really awesome.
Yeah. My landlord, I texted him today because I've been reading about landlords and stuff like getting worried that their tenants wouldn't be able to pay rent and
Mhm.
and then they wouldn't be able to pay their mortgage. So I just texted my landlord. I'm like, "Hey, you don't have to worry about me not paying rent during the crisis." And he's like, "Oh, thanks," because rent is coming up in
Right.
uh, well, it's at the beginning of each month, so in like 5 6 days.
Hmm.
But I do like living in Oakville because it's so close to work. It takes like 13 minutes. I don't think I didn't show you my place. There's nothing really special about it. I can have maybe like max like 4 people over, and it's a tight squeeze.
Yeah. Hmm. How far do your parents live from you?
My parents live, so I live in Oakville, and my parents live in Markham, and that is about an hour drive east from Oakville. And I've lived at my parents' house since 2000, and then I went to school. I started living in Hamilton, um, and then after that, I stayed with my parents for like a year while I was trying to find a job. And after I got a job at Geotab, I just moved to Oakville. And in Oakville, I've lived in a couple different places, but I've lived at my current place for like 2 years now, and I'm happy with it. It's small, but it's cozy, and the rent is
Hmm.
like pretty reasonable. So I'm not planning on moving anytime soon until I can afford to maybe buy something. But that's not for a while, and especially right now, like I I looked at my savings since I have investments through Manulife with Geotab. It really took a
Oh,
hit because of the market crash. So
yeah.
I lost a couple bucks there.
Oh no. Yeah, it's really crazy. I was checking out the stocks like on Robinhood, and yeah, the Disney ones
What's
are really
Robinhood?
low. It's also like a kind of like an investment,
Oh
um,
yeah.
yeah, portal where you can check all the stocks and stuff. But yeah, I've been looking at some, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. I don't know how this is gonna get fixed. It's a little worrisome because there's so many people that are can't pay their rent or are having a really hard time, with food, and it's just so
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, we have in Canada good leadership, I think, and like the advice that they're providing to the citizens is like really good, and I feel like most people are taking heed to it. Although today, I mean, my parents wouldn't be happy about it, but I stepped out to the store to grab a pack of smokes, and
Hmm.
some people, like one guy in particular, was not abiding by the social distancing rule. Like he was just like any regular day that's not a crisis, and I'm like, I literally had to say excuse me sir and put my hands up
Yeah,
like back away. I need to
yeah.
get to the till so I can pay.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's pretty crazy out here too. Like you go to the store and there's people, all over each other. And actually just found out that one of my neighbors got like tested positive for it. He lives on the 6th floor and I live on the 4th. So I'm like, maybe
Mm-mm.
I shouldn't take the elevator. Maybe I should just keep going down the
Mm-mm.
stairs.
Yeah. Well,
I have to.
the elevator doesn't even have room for for distancing, right? Like
Yeah.
if you have two people, maybe it's okay. Maybe max three, but
Mhm.
like it's hard to say a meter, 2 meters apart in an elevator.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's just so weird because I mean I got really sick like I think the beginning of this month. I was really sick, and it was before this whole thing blew over. And I had gone to the office and they told me maybe you should take some time off, but they were gonna give me like an attendance point, and I didn't want an attendance point, so I was like, oh, it's okay, I'll just stay. But I was like wheezing and coughing, and well, they
Yikes.
ended up telling me, and they were like, hey, we just won't give you that point. Just go home. So
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
they felt like really bad. I don't know.
it's exceptional circumstances. So you shouldn't be pointed or deducted or whatever.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm glad I came home, and then I drank some pills, and I ended up feeling better. But I don't think I've ever
Cool.
felt that sick. Like I felt really sick, and my neighbor was telling me, he's like, yeah, I feel really sick too. And I'm like, I wonder if I had it and I just didn't know about it because it wasn't even a big thing, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
Weird.
So, how are you staying positive through the crisis? Because like if like people won't admit it, but it's really depressing, right? Like you can't live your best life really. You can do it
Yeah.
online, but you can't go outside. You can't stand next to your friends. It's like really limiting the
Mm,
amount of fun that you can really have. I mean, you can be kind of crafty and like try to make up things to do while you're inside your own home, but it's nothing like it was before. Good times
yeah.
are hard to come by.
Hmm. Well, I'm staying positive. I've gone through some really hard times in my life, like, where I didn't have any food and I didn't have anywhere to live. And right now, like, even though all of this is happening, I'm just thankful that I'm alive, Like I'm
Yeah.
thankful that I'm not sick. So whether I'm at home or whether, I have no food or whatever the case may be, like I'm just grateful that I'm alive and that I can see the light of day one more time. So yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's the totally good perspective. It's nice and simple too. Just as long, just as long as you can see the light of day.
And, it's funny because when people ask me like, "Hey, how are you doing today?" and I'm like, I'm doing pretty good. I'm not in prison and I'm not dead, so I'm good.
Well, that bar is 6 feet under.
Yeah.
But that's good. I mean, like
Yep.
if you're happy with like very minimum, that means that if you do have like a lot that lands in your lap, then you have so much more to appreciate, right? Because you're not
Yeah.
expecting so much out of life.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure you can probably relate. It's crazy seeing the town, because a town that is like always so active. Like I live in Las Vegas, so
Yeah.
active all the time. There's tourism everywhere. There's lights. There's fireworks everywhere you go. You can hear
Mm-hmm.
music,
Mm-hmm.
And now the other day I went to Walgreens on the strip because that was the only place that had any food left. So
Mm-hmm.
I went and it was dead. Like the casino lights were off, and I thought to myself, I said, these are like the things that you see on Netflix or on YouTube. That's like
Yeah.
the top 10 ghost towns, and they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, there was a pandemic and Las Vegas just there's
Yeah.
no more Las Vegas. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It was just like like everything just kind of sunk in, and I was like, when I had it, like I was like, oh, ew, the strip. I don't want to go to the strip. There's too much tourism. But now that it's not here, I'm like, wow, this town really is nothing without that. And
Mm-hmm.
I just have appreciated so much more now. I think after seeing everything and seeing everyone just losing everything or losing a lot of their things, I'm like, wow, you know, so the things that we take for granted, like on a daily basis, or maybe sometimes even me thinking or waking up, like, you know what, I don't want to go to work today. Like, I should just call out. And now being like, man, I really should, you know, I really miss going to work. I miss going to the building. It's just a whole different vibe. You know, we just don't know what we have until we no longer have it.
I'll make two comments. Yes, Las Vegas typically is vibrant and bustling, and the fact that it's not now is must be startling. And also, well, when you go to work, it's really different from when you're working from home. And do you find
Yeah.
like the way you connect with your coworkers like has like fundamentally changed? Obviously, like you're doing video, you're doing chats, but like
Mhm.
the the bonding and like the relationships has that kind of shifted like how it works? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, it's a little bit different, you know. Like, I like seeing my friends, you know, every day, and being in pretty much like isolation is kind of weird. But I still talk to them, you know, hang out with them. But I feel like we talk a lot more in person. Now it's an actual task. You got to open up your chat. You got, you know. Whereas before it's like, hey, how you doing? Hey, you know.
Yeah, yeah. What about how others are handling the situation? Do you see anything that's like really upsetting? Like you look at it and it just is like, I can't believe people are so stupid, or why are they doing this? I don't know. Maybe it's a negative question, but I feel like you'll have something to say about this. Like stuff that just is pissing you off right now, how people are handling the crisis.
Uh, yeah, yeah. The two main things that are really bothering me. One is that some people, as you mentioned like earlier, are not taking it as serious as they should. The fact that, you know, it's killing people and it mutated, you know, from an animal to a person to another person. It's a big thing, and I just don't think people are taking it as serious as they should. Like, this can end up
Hmm.
really bad. Um, and two, I think people like hoarding supplies is just really upsetting because
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, when this whole thing started and like, you know, the whole like toilet paper thing was going on, I had like 2 rolls of toilet paper and I was like, it's fine. I'm like, it's okay. I had like half of a little like 1 pound bag of rice. I'm like, oh, this will last me a week or something, you know? And once I didn't have any more, I was like, I'm gonna go to Walmart, and you know, I'm thinking, okay, I'll just go and get, you know, whatever they have. And I got there, and there was nothing, and I'm like, wow. I'm like, like people are just so selfish, and
Uh-huh.
you try to give people like the benefit of the doubt, like especially me, like I try to be like optimistic about everything, like even the terrible times, but seeing how people reacted and the fact that they didn't, it was more of like either it's me or it's him, and it's not going to be him, and you know, it's not going to be me, so it's like,
Yeah.
it's just baffling to me. It's
But
just
there
crazy.
is it is like a lot of selfishness, but it's also what's going on in their heads might be that they don't want to leave their house for a long time, right? So they're stocking up. But also there's like a silver lining to this. There's people that end up doing really good deeds. Like I've heard, I'll say two stories. Like one was actually heartbreaking because there was an older couple, maybe in their 80s, and they were parked outside of a supermarket or a grocery store or something, and they were almost in tears because they were scared of leaving their vehicle and going in the store because of their age. So
Right,
they sat with the window down with a note in their hand and $100 bill, waiting for someone that looked friendly enough and compassionate enough to wave them down and pass through the slit in their window the $100 and the note so that somebody could actually go in, get the groceries for them, and bring it back. And out of the kindness of someone's heart, they actually did it for them, and that was such a sweet story. And also, I read like there was a like an older person that needed bread, and they didn't have any left in the supermarket, and somebody was just like, "Hey, I you need it more than I do. Just take it out of my shopping cart, and anything in my shopping cart you can take, like because you're probably in, I don't know, more desperate need or something, right? So like situations like this where everyone's panicking and it's a crisis, there is like good that comes out of it, like in terms of human nature. So I think
Yeah.
if you're a positive person yourself, these kind of stories, and if you're keeping your eye out for the good, you can find it. But if you're
Mhm.
focused on the negative, which I did ask you about, it can get to your head and it really makes the situation look really grim. But there's always two sides to the coin.
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, I've seen some of those too. There's a Facebook group that I follow, and it's people in Las Vegas that are looking for items and stuff. And this girl, she said she's just given birth and she just got home, and she's like, "Hey, I need toilet paper, and I can't find any." So she there was a lot of people that commented, and they're like, "Hey, we can come drop it off." And now I ended up finding toilet paper, so I was like, "Hey, I can come drop you off some." Um,
Mm.
and but at the same time, I'm like, well, why should it even be like this? Why should she even have to be looking for toilet paper? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I
To,
get it too, because I'm like, we shouldn't be going out. So if I would have stocked up on toilet paper, then I wouldn't have had to go look for it like 3 days ago. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. It's a catch 22.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
for sure.
It's really it's really tough. But you have enough toilet paper now?
Yeah, like I think I have like 5 or 6 rolls now, so I think I should be okay for another little
That'll
bit.
hold you over for a bit.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how long you're going to be working home from, or you're just going to follow what is ordered?
Well, they said last week, I think we started working from home on Tuesday of last week, and then they said it was gonna be 30 days.
Okay.
Um, so
Yeah.
at
Might
least
be longer.
until sometime. Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah, for
That's what I'm
sure.
thinking.
Um,
But I think it's good. I think it's good. It's helping me also kind of um, be a little bit more responsible, I guess, with myself, because I know that there can be like other distractions in my house. So the fact that like you have to set yourself like small little deadlines, and I think it's great. I think it's allowing me to develop kind of like a different type of skill where I have to
you
stay
know
on
what?
track.
You know
Yeah.
what? I can equate this to my long distance relationship because, well, not my former long distance relationship, because communication is like paramount now. So we have 2 meetings a day with my team, one in the morning to sync up and talk about what we're going to work on, and one
Hmm.
in the afternoon at the end of day to say like what we've accomplished. And this is stuff that we typically wouldn't do. But the fact that we're working from home, management has to make sure that we're motivated and on task, right? And then the
Hmm.
communication levels increase drastically. And this is similar to when I was dating my ex girlfriend, because she was overseas, and a lot of it was good communication to keep the relationship going. So even though you're physically disconnected, you're using technology and resources to keep you connected, sometimes even stronger than you ever were before, which is quite amazing. But at the same time, like it's not natural. The fact that like you're so far away from who you're supposed to be working with and who you're supposed to be hanging out with.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. And I think you bring up a good point regarding the meetings. I too have noticed that now I feel like there's much more communication. It's really weird.
Yeah.
You can ask for help if you need it, or
Hmm.
whatever the case may be. But I think it's good, and I think some of the things that we've been kind of exploring like these drop-ins and stuff that we've that they've set up. I think maybe we should keep them, or at least keep them to some extent, because I think they're just a great resource.
Drop-ins. Is that when you have a Hangouts consistently on?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, we have that too.
Yeah,
But
I think those are a good idea. Maybe like have a couple people like alternate days or whatever per week. I think that would be really cool.
mm-hmm. Yeah. We have a drop-in for each one of our teams. Like our department is structured in a way that like there's like 4 or 5 different teams, and each one has their own drop-in, so that if anyone has any questions, they just join. And throughout the day, there will be like at least 1 or 2 members of that team online in that Hangouts to answer any questions. Yeah, it's a great resource, and yeah, it's weird. The dynamic has totally changed, and it's working. And you got to give credit to Neil, right, the CEO, because I don't know if you saw his town hall, but he, like, during these like unprecedented, exceptional times, like he's managed to keep everyone having a cool head, right?
Yeah. And it's so crazy. Like, I'm just so grateful, for the company itself, because there's so many people that are just being laid off, and
Yeah.
they're making it like, that they're allowing us to continue, even though the company itself is probably hurting in these times. They want to make sure that we're okay. And
it is and it isn't, because I don't know if you actually listened to the town hall, if you got a chance to, but our company operates as a software as a service. So our monthly revenue is guaranteed. There might be certain resellers that go out of business, but as a whole, our earnings won't be drastically hit too much. And also during these times, there's actually growth in certain businesses like Amazon, UPS. The fact that people need deliveries, they're actually hiring. Our company isn't hiring right now, not too much, but Amazon said there's an explosion of jobs, so they're going to need devices, and that's good for us. So even though it's not good to take advantage of a crisis, there is like some opportunity that arises from it.
Yeah. No, I agree. So crazy out there right now, but I agree with you.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I didn't think about
it's pretty wild out there. Don't you just feel like going outside, but you can't?
Well, you know me, like I am out like almost all the time. So
yeah,
the fact that like I have to stay in the house, I don't know. I feel like I'm learning a lot about myself, and I don't know if it's good.
You don't know if it's good? I mean, that it's probably the most valuable knowledge that you can ever possess, like knowledge of yourself.
Yeah, sometimes like I piss myself off, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so crazy. I'm like, what the heck?
No, you are crazy, but there's so much sanity behind it, because I know you're smart and you know what you're doing, so you shouldn't be too worried about like going off in tangents.
Yeah, I try to keep a balanced head, but yeah.
Let's see. What about other aspects of life right now? I don't know what you can or can't touch on, but your friend.
It depends. Where are you posting this?
Where am I posting this? I haven't planned on anything right now, but it might go public. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you're already very candid publicly, right? So I don't think there's anything that you can go into detail about that will really, shock your viewers.
Um, there's one thing that no one knows about.
Mm.
That's why I'm like, I don't know if I should say
Are we
this.
go? Are we talking periods here?
No. Mm-mm. We're talking. I have a boyfriend, right?
Yes,
And I recently started hanging out with this other guy. It's
Cindy.
so terrible. I know, Patrick. I know.
But
But
that's not really out of character, is it?
it's not out of character, but that's why I want to know, like, where are you posting this? Because the last thing I need is for my boyfriend to hear.
Oh, probably only to my friends, honestly.
Oh, okay. Hmm. Yeah, so I ended up like, I don't know. So, okay, I'll tell you the story. So what happened was there's this guy that I went to high school with, and he used to like date my friend. They had a baby or whatever, and like I haven't spoken to him since high school, so it's been a good like 10 years. So I don't know where, like, I get a friend request from him on Facebook, and we start talking, and his baby is like 12 years old now. So
Hmm.
I'm like, oof, this is rough. But yeah, so I went to like visit him this past weekend, and that was in California. So I
Oh,
drove to California to go visit him, and this weekend he's coming here.
you guys are making trips.
Yeah.
That means that you value each other's company and each other's time.
Yeah. Like it's really weird because I try to be really level-headed about like everything. Like every move I make, I always think about like the consequences. I always think about like how I'm gonna approach it, how the other person feels. I'm just like a really like an overthinker, right? I want to make
Well,
sure that
it's
like
good. It's good to be
Mhm.
considerate and kind of play out like how other people will feel about what you do. That's totally like important to consider.
Yeah, yeah, and so I let him know like from the very beginning. I was like, hey, like I have a boyfriend, and he's in prison. And he'll be out really soon, like maybe August, September. And we're in March, so it's just a couple months. And he's like, yeah, it's cool. So in the beginning it was just like, hey, like let's catch up. Well, I go to his house, I end up getting drunk, and yeah. So I ended up like coming back home, and now like we text all the time. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna come see you. So he's coming over tomorrow, and he'll be here for like 4 days. He's gonna stay at my house. And I don't know, I feel like
What's the connection here though? Is it physical? Is it emotional? Is it intellectual?
so it's definitely not a physical attraction, because he is not what I would go for, like, at all. Like, I'm even surprised I am considering having him back over here, or having him here in the first place. Or I'm surprised that I'm considering seeing him. But the
Hmm.
problem was, and I think what happened was that I ended up liking him like emotionally and like intellectually, because he
Oh,
loves politics, and we have like the same views as far as politics go.
cool.
And to me, that's just really important, like it says a lot about a person. So, and then I met him, and the person that I met was completely different than the person that I remember in high school,
Hmm.
and the pictures, like, yeah, I saw the pictures, like, but actually seeing him in person, I was like, yeah, no, not like that at all. Like, I don't like you. But then after that, I'm like, oh man, why am I still talking to him? Why am I still entertaining this? Why am like, it's just a lot of questions that I'm asking
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, there's some X factor there. He's
Yeah.
charmed you.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, this can't be happening. And my boyfriend, like, what am I going to do?
Hmm. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, is are you is your I mean your connection to your boyfriend must be strong, right? Because you have been with him for years, like when you were much younger than you are now, and despite like him being in prison, you still managed to maintain it through all these years.
Yeah. It honestly, like, I figured out what that was. Like, yeah, I've been with him since I was, 14 years old, and it's been forever. But I built up like a codependency with him,
Oh,
and it's hard to break it, And now I don't know if now, like knowing everything that I know now, and like the amount that I've grown, like this time that he's been away and I've been by myself. I don't know if, or I don't know how I'm gonna react to who he is when he gets out of prison. So it's hard for me to say like, I'm gonna leave him right now that he's in prison, because I feel like when he went in, we were both different people, and if he hasn't changed, then I have. So I want to see how this is gonna play out if he does get out. I just don't want to throw in the towel after so many years. But I always say that, like, if anyone else can get into your life, then you probably don't really love the other person as much as you think you do, because
yeah,
there shouldn't even be that opportunity or that chance for
yeah,
anyone else to come in. And these are just things
yeah,
that I think about all the time, and I just don't know like what to make of them. So
yeah. I think it really is up to you. Like, if you're staying committed because you're dedicated, because you've been with him for so long and he deserves um an opportunity when he's free, then that's one way to see it. But like you said, at the same time, the fact that you're entertaining other guys does mean that maybe what you have with your boyfriend isn't strong enough.
yeah, yeah, it has to be something that I have to figure out. Like,
Yeah, it's your own personal journey, and you gotta enjoy it too, right? It's fun, and
yeah,
no matter what decision you make, like as long as as long as you stay true to your own principles and you don't break your own codes, your own ethics, and you live to your own morals, then you should be happy with whatever decision you make.
yeah, yeah. I'll have to keep you updated on what happens with that.
I mean, we've been talking a lot about your relationships. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, what's going on? Like, I saw the. Okay, I want to hear about the cat story. Are you able to talk about that?
The cat story. What cat
Yeah,
story?
the review.
I'm sorry, I don't follow the review.
Yeah, you left like a review about a girl's cat or something. I saw it on your Facebook. You mentioned it,
About a
and she got
girl's.
upset because you said that the cat wasn't as mean as other people.
Oh, right, right, right. So okay, so so there's a website called Artery, and it's a community based, like an arts community based website to bring people together at these like small indie niche like events where there's like artists that perform, or mostly artists that perform, but it could be like other entertaining things. So I went to one of these. My friend Mallory, who currently has blown up, by the way, she's all over TV. Her music. Um, I went to see her perform at Angela's house. Angela owns a cat, so I'm at the house and I'm playing with this cat. It's the best cat, right? And I'm like kind of like messing around with it, so it's like taking its paw and like pawing at me and stuff, and like that's normal, right? So then, um, this whole night is amazing. And by the way, coronavirus or COVID-19 it was like the early onset where the mentality wasn't so in panic mode. So we were still doing these gatherings. Like people knew about it, but people weren't as concerned as they should have been. But it was fine. Um, so then I had a great time. The next day, I went to a party, and Angela was there. She got drunk, and at the end of the party, she comes to me and says, "Hey, look, Patrick. Um, so this guy left me a review, uh, a negative review, saying my cat was feisty, and she was really pissed off about it because she thought that it made her cat look bad. It made potentially it may potentially make people not want to go to her events because she has a mean cat. So she explicitly told me to leave a review saying that her cat is not feisty. So I
Mm.
did. And then I don't know, a week goes by and then she messages me on Instagram saying, "Hey, like what's up with this review? Like this makes my cat look terrible." She did she didn't remember that she told me to do that, like post that review in defense of her cat. So then I was like trying to say like, "Angela, look, I just did exactly what you told me to." But she just didn't remember. So she wanted me to remove it. So I contacted the artery support. I made a fucking Zendesk ticket, and I was like, I was like, okay, like, can you replace the review with a positive review that I put?
Uh-huh.
I don't think the agent actually went through with it. Maybe they just
Uh-huh.
closed the ticket with that without doing it.
That's funny.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't think she was very happy about how that turned out. And she said she was thinking about it all the time and she spent too much time thinking about it. Honestly, I don't think it's a big deal. Like all he said was her cat was feisty. Like
Hmm.
that's not going to keep people from going to your parties. But she was really like anal about it. So, yeah, that's Angela.
That's interesting. Yeah, it was funny because so I got to the office and Alex was like, he's like, "Yo, what's going on with Patrick? Is he okay?" I was like, "Yeah, you didn't read." I'm like, "It was something about the cat and like the review." And he's like, "I want to ask him." He's like, "What is going on?" So right now, when you mentioned, do you have any questions? I'm like, "Yeah, let's clear up the cat situation because we were all worried about you, Patrick."
No, okay, so I'll be honest, like okay, it was I met a girl at that party. Her name is Chelsea, and we hit it off really well. Like she's like kind of like got the same personality as me, kind of like really silly but really smart as well. Sorry, I don't
Okay.
mean to boast about that, but she's very silly, and her personality is really bubbly like me.
Hmm.
And she's an engineer too. She works for a company that Geotab actually uses for their on-call scheduling, pager duty. Um, so I started messaging her, and like I really liked her, but I didn't want to like drop in her DMs all the time. So me like had a genius idea, like why don't I just put stuff on my timeline, and she'll see it on her news feed. That way, she's not getting her DMs blown up, and she sees like a little bit of me. But I was a bit overzealous and I went too hard, went ham actually. And I I posted like maybe like 5, 6 times a day, sometimes poems about her, which is really
Hmm.
odd actually. Now that I think about it, but I ended up talking to I ended up talking to her about it. I said like, look, I've only been doing this because I was just trying to show a side of me to you that I didn't want to do in the DMs. And she's like, oh, okay, that's totally cool. Thanks for being honest with me. And I said, like, I have no reason to do this anymore. I'm just going to talk to you directly. But in the
Okay.
end, she just told me straight out, like, she's not looking for anything right now. So I
Uh-huh.
respected that. So, like, I'm just talking to her as a friend, which is a bit of a bummer, but it's also kind of cool because I don't know. I have like quite a few female friends, and
Hmm.
most of them are in relationships. And having a friendship with a girl that's in a relationship, like, there's no pressure at all. Like, you're not trying anything. It's just like real chill.
Yeah.
So I guess it'll just be the same as that. Like, and I'll just go on with my life as it normally is.
Yeah. Well, that's a bummer, but you know.
Hmm. No, it's cool. It's cool though. Um, like you can get a lot out of a friendship that
Mhm.
you don't necessarily need, like physical, like, shit going down.
Yeah. Yep. 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 That's cool, Patrick. Well, I'm glad you're doing good, and I miss your posts. I used to like
No,
heart react them all the time.
I know, I know. I really appreciate that. That's so good. At least I had like one audience that was participating
You know,
in my adventures.
Patrick, it's because no one understands. Like sometimes I would read it, I would read your post, and I'm like, this is really good. Like, and then no one would understand it, and I'm like, you don't understand what he's trying to say. I'm like, you don't get it.
Yeah, that's like my mom. Like she's like, what are you trying to do here? Like, and I'm like, it's just art. It's just creative. It's just my feelings.
Yeah, yeah. We came. So one day, I came into the office, and I think you had posted like one of the poems, and I think Alex asked me about it, or someone asked me about it, and I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "That poem was really good." I'm like, I read it, and I was home in my bed. I was like, and I started snapping, like it was so good. I started snapping at it, and so it became a thing. So now, whenever like there's anything we're talking about, like we are gonna like we would say like 3 descriptive words about whatever we're talking about, and then we'll snap. So, for example, right now, if I were with Alex or something, then we would say like Patrick Deep podcast, and then we'll start snapping. So it just became a thing. Like it became a thing. So now, like everyone knows what it is.
Man, I miss
Sometimes,
Alex. He should talk to me more. Like I don't know if I'm hard to approach or something, but like I love that guy. We like
mhm.
whenever I'm down in Vegas, we have great times. I hope he's doing well too, because you said like he was going through a rough patch, right? You don't have to put him on blast or anything, but
Yeah, yeah. For a while, he was in. I don't know. I think it was like the whole move from his, because he has like his own place now. It was just like a really weird time for him. But
mm,
I think now, I think he's doing pretty good. I mean, he's
hmm
working from home, so like every couple
hmm
hours, like I'll message him and I'll check in with him, and we supposedly are going to work together one day from home. So I don't know if I'm gonna go over there, which more than likely
yeah.
that's gonna
Or
happen.
you can work from Alex's place, or he can work from your place.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I told him because I'm like, man, I'm really starting to miss you, dude. Like,
Yeah, you guys are tight. You guys are best buds.
yeah, he's mean sometimes, but it's
Oh, he
okay.
is. Hmm.
He's mean sometimes. Okay.
He's got really cute posts actually. It's a lot of like single guy looking for a relationship kind of stuff, but like I guess mine is too.
Yeah. Yeah, Alex he's weird. He's weird, but he's really awesome, and so are you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know.
I really like that guy. He's really sweet. He's good. He's a good
Yeah.
guy. And
He has
plus,
like a hard shell, but once you break it, it's like, all right, like you're kind of cool.
yeah, plus he's really good at his job. Like
Oh yeah.
I'm getting escalations from him like maybe once or twice a week,
Yeah.
and they're really well organized and put together.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, he's really good. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-mm.
Mm, so I got maybe one or two more things, and then I won't keep you for too long. But I just want to tell a little anecdote here. So my friend Catherine is really accomplished. Like she's doing her PhD in neuroscience right now, and she's
Wow.
also on the Prime Minister's Youth Council, advising Trudeau, especially like these days, um, on anything like political situations and whatever's on the table, right, for
Hmm.
discussion. So I met her when I was studying at university. We
Hmm.
were in the same class, and so that was in 2016. So I've known her for like 4 years now, and
Hmm.
just last night, I guess it was last night, yeah. Um, I I wrote her an endorsement, like a note that I posted, just because
Hmm.
like we've been talking for the past few days, like really good conversations about like what she's doing for her studies and I was giving her like links to like relevant articles and stuff, and like it's really just like academic talk, right? And
Yeah.
I just got a sense of how smart she is. I already knew she was smart, so I gave her like a couple paragraphs, and I just was showering her with compliments because she deserves it. Like she is good at so many things, and she's so kind and she's so sweet. Um,
Mhm.
so she didn't read it until today. But before she read it, she sent me her PhD lecture. She wanted me to review it, right? So I
Mhm.
watched it at lunchtime, and it was on brain machine interfaces and the ethical implications, and also
Wow.
if it's good or bad, and all the science and technology behind it, and all the aspects surrounding it. So I watched that, and I wrote maybe like 30 different points on how she did a good presentation, right? Like I
Mhm.
wasn't trying to just find good, but like it was just so good that I just listed 30 points and I posted it. She asked me to review it, by the way. She wanted my honest opinion. So I posted that on her YouTube in the comment section. And that's exactly what she wanted. So she read it and she was like, wow, it's such a detailed review. Like, I love this. Thank you. And then she
Mhm.
goes on Facebook and she sees the post that I posted last night, and then in her head she's like, wait a second, Patrick literally just wrote 30 lines for me,
Mhm.
basically praising me for this presentation, and then he goes on my timeline and posts this like endorsement. And then she said, like, she's like, this is just like a random string of compliments, and she felt a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But I was like, hey, I posted that last night, and I didn't hit you up twice, like with the review and this. Um, and then like her main concern was two things. Um, One, that I said that when I first saw her, I was dazzled by her looks. So she said like that's like I'm fawning over her. And then I also called her my study buddy, which we were, but I
Mhm.
didn't know the connotation behind that term
Oh.
in her mind, because her friends and family, anytime they ask her how she met her boyfriend, which by the way, I already knew she was with him in 2016, and they've been together for at least 4 or 5 years. So I've
Okay.
never hit on her. Like I know she's in a relationship. She's just my friend. But she tells her friends and family when they ask how she met her boyfriend, she says, well, they were study buddies. So in her head, and her friends and family, she was worried that me using study buddy meant that we were up to something. So
Okay.
so I was like, "Hey, Catherine, like I didn't know there was this connotation behind this term. Like all we did was study together, and I called you study buddies."
Yeah.
So she was just worried that it would be misinterpreted because it was on her timeline, right? And people would see it.
Mhm.
So she's like, well, the public, and she calls it public because she has over 2,000 friends, and a lot of them are very like well accomplished and in politics and stuff. So she's like, um, yeah, people will read it and think you're like you have other intentions. So I just want to clear that up with you. And she was basically worried that I was crushing over her, which I
Yeah.
was just like, hey, Catherine, like I don't like you like that. I like ever since I met you, you were with Tanner. So like I never tried anything. And now that we're on the same page, she's just like, okay, yeah, that post was so nice. Like, thank you. But it was it was it was it was tense. It was tense because I was getting like criticized for
Mhm.
giving a compliment, you know? It was a long-winded
Yeah.
compliment,
Yeah.
but we're good now. It's cool.
Mhm. Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, at least now she doesn't think you're, trying something else. And
Yeah.
but it's always good
Yeah.
to have friends like that, that are just really smart because, man,
Mhm.
I don't know. I love that.
Yeah, same. But it's also good to have friends like you that you can count on and depend on, because like even though she's like super smart, like she's not one of my super tight friends. Like I don't know her all that well, but I'm just saying it's good. It's good to have her, but you're pretty awesome too.
Oh, thanks, Patrick. I can't wait to have you down here again. Whenever
Yeah.
they allow you to come down here.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be it'll be swell. Yeah, on that note, I think we can call it a night. I don't know, what time is it for you?
Yeah, 8:29, 8:30.
Yeah, I'm sure you're really busy and you have to, I don't know, clean your counter or
Or twiddle my fingers. I'm actually working on this stupid report right now that I have to get done by tomorrow. So
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, Cindy, it's been awesome. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining me on the inaugural podcast, which has yet to be named, and maybe we can come up with a name for it.
Yeah. Should be like catching up with Patrick and Cindy or something.
Yeah, for sure. We'll
Cool.
definitely have to do it again, maybe in like a month or two, when we find out how this crisis goes, and
Yeah.
and
Hopefully
we
we'll
have
be
some new
better
development.
spirits. Yeah.
All right, Cindy.
Cool. Talk to you soon, Patrick.
It's been great. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Goodbye.